Hello, this is our critical thinking presentation on is Facebook or Instagram harmful for college students' health. Myself, Joelle, and Ashley have all read through the assigned article and textbook and have put together this presentation regarding our findings. There are two clear viewpoints presented in the two articles, one being the negative effects that Facebook proposes and the other being the seemingly positive effects. Joelle is going to talk about the negative effects that can lead to a higher depressive symptoms and lower self-esteem. There are many factors like upward comparison, downward comparison, and similar comparison that will be explained. We reviewed the procedures and results of the first perspective. We also read and included a testimony from one of the participants. Ashley will be talking about the second perspective, which is the seemingly positive use of Facebook on the self. There are factors like the boost in self-esteem through self-preservation and objective self-awareness that help support the idea that there are positive effects of Facebook. Conclusions were found that when changing one's profile, it actually leads to more positively affected self-esteem. The findings from both articles were intriguing to read about.
The first perspective we examined was centered around Alfassi's article that discussed how Facebook is detrimental to state self-esteem and depression. In our textbook, social comparison is defined as evaluating one's opinions and abilities by comparing oneself with others. It is clear that media platforms such as Facebook prompt agonizing social comparisons. In Alfassi's article, upward comparisons, downward comparisons, and similar comparisons are all identified. We learned that upward comparison is used when we compare ourselves to those who we believe are better than us, promoting self-improvement. Downward comparison is used when we compare ourselves with those we believe are less successful than ourselves, promoting self-enhancement. And finally, similar comparison is when we compare ourselves with those who are similar to us, promoting self-evaluation. In the article, it is clearly stated that Facebook is mainly used for upward comparison. However, it has also been found that Facebook is used for downward comparison and can be associated with depressive symptoms. Due to this, many people believe the common lie that they are living an unhappy, less successful life than that of their friends. In the article, one participant expresses, "I feel like it consumes you, to the point that you can't live your normal life because you see everyone else's. I think it makes you think that your life is not as fun, or as exciting, or as interesting as other people's, which is sad because that's just not true." Facebook has become a highlight reel that promotes false realities and is the reason why many people are unhappy after they exit the app after hours of scrolling. In the experiment, participants were randomly assigned to either the newsfeed condition, where they were supposed to browse their Facebook and newsfeed for 15 minutes, or the National Geographic Facebook page, where they were supposed to stay on the site for 15 minutes. Once the experiment was over and the data was analyzed, participants in the newsfeed condition reported much lower self-esteem levels with higher depression levels compared with those in the National Geographic condition. This was due to the fact that browsing the newsfeed, which is full of the best aspects of people's lives, made it easy for participants to feel worse about their own lives. It is an unrealistic comparison. As individuals, we are constantly aware of the good, the bad, and the ugly happening in our lives, whereas social media only shows the best parts of people's lives. The results of the study show that social comparison on Facebook leads to a decline in state self-esteem and an increase in depressive symptoms. These results lead us to believe that Facebook and other social platforms are negatively impacting the well-being of many.
So, regarding the idea that Facebook is an unharmful form of social media, Amy Gonzalez and others focus primarily on how Facebook users formulated a way to promote self esteem through their selective online presentation. Selective self presentation is using different personas or identities to create a distinct image of who one truly is. While this may come off as falsifying a way of life, the way the article presents this idea of self is in the way of online users putting more light on the more positive and aesthetic things to their viewers. It may be a specific picture that the creator has taken and they have may wish to use filters or editing software to make their photos more pleasing and unique. Another example is emphasizing different information about themselves and being very careful about what arts should or should not be included in their media feed, according to page 80. The creator's identity also does take shift to present themselves well on sort of social media, not so much on the things that are more positive, private, or negative. But instead, they are focused on posting more eye catching and positive content with a careful amount of time into ensuring Facebook users and other social media platforms, there is much significance to selective self presentation and objective self awareness. It is essential to note how much we are more prone to self evaluation based on the norms and social standards we encounter daily, and often feel more discouraged or feel that an action is more meaningful when we observe that behavior and can make an impact on others based on our actions. However, a downside to this is being more vulnerable to the views and opinions of what others tend to think, and we view ourselves through the lens of others rather than our own. A study of college students at Northeastern University participated in the use of Facebook and how they respond to viewing others' profiles as well as their own, and they opted to make changes to their desired profiles by using the high personal model. It was concluded after the trial that sadly there is a negative effect on self-esteem than a traditional objective self-awareness when exposed to their Facebook page, while also looking at others, and which insinuated the selective self-presentation was not involved at the time of viewing their profile. However, the remaining results show that the participants who changed their profile picture on Facebook had increased self esteem compared to those who did not. They could see their profiles before the change and still had a positive outlook on themselves in a controlled setting rather than a traditional one, enhanced by selective self presentation. With these findings and perspectives of the writers, Facebook and Instagram can be positive when used to encourage self esteem, evaluate ourselves, and promote our positive selves or content, and create an opportunity for an objective view when doing what makes the creator or social media user happy and can create positive change in the world. While I understand that the idea of selective self presentation can have a negative impact or can be more daunting and false, it is more based, according to the article, to be in the aspect of showing more hope and positive feed rather than the real things that are going on in the world, which can cause social media platforms not to be as fun to have.
After all of this being said, we can see the proposal at hand from both perspectives. Looking at the negative effects, there is a strong argument on why Facebook is so detrimental to self esteem and increases depressive symptoms. The article written by Alfasi gives plenty of proof and reasoning to support their hypothesis throughout their experiment. This article explains the different kinds of comparison and how each type of comparison can be found in different situations. For example, the effects of Facebook are mainly focused on upward comparison, but downward comparison can also be associated with depressive symptoms when looking at the effects of Facebook. The idea that everything that people post is only good and exciting things on their social media leads to people having a sense of false reality, which is why people are so unhappy when deciding to put their phones down. The article written by Gonzalez and Hancock gave a few points of support for their hypothesis, that Facebook can actually have positive effects on people's self-esteem. They explain that when people change their own profile, it proves that position affects their self-esteem. The article also says that there are boosts in self-esteem through selective self-presentation, and there are contributions to objective self-awareness. With this, we conclude our critical thinking presentation. Thank you for listening.